believe. This is about me and my wife, Donna. I met her when my band played at this outdoor function. There was a couple hundred people there, and we had a stage that we played off of, and basically it was just me with a drummer and a bass player, and I went absolutely wild on lead. And it was people from all walks. I mean, we had bikers there from the local MC. We had all kinds of people. Well, after the party, and it went well, I mean, it was great. A couple of small fights, nothing big. Cops came about 4 times to threaten to arrest me and the band. But, we continued playing. We never got arrested. So the next day, I'm looking around for things and packing stuff up, and this girl comes up to me. Her name's Donna. And there's 3 sisters. There's the oldest, Mary Ann, there's Donna, and there's Tina. And so I met Donna. And she said to me, hey, could you, well, see, what happens is after I play at the parties, at the nighttime when the bonfire's going, I would sit around sometimes if I felt up to it and play the acoustic guitar, which was a lot of fun if I felt like it. So she says, can you play Life Sucks Then You Die? And I'm like, well, actually that's kind of like a 3-chord thing. It would be no problem. It would be a great campfire song because everybody at that time knew the words to it. And the words go something like, the government dumps toxic waste right on top of my mother's grave. A team of experts say it won't do her no harm. My sheep went crazy and killed my mule. I cut off my dick with a power tool, fixing the hole where the meteor hit the barn. So the words are really funny as fuck. So I said, yeah, like I told a million other people, get me the words and, I'll wing it, So that was that. And I thought she was pretty cute. So I'm down there again for whatever reason. There was always parties down there. Not that there was always bands, but there was always parties. It was a good acre of land bordered by a river. In our town, we call it the French River. And so it was really cool. And so I'm walking around in the yard, and Donna calls me over. Hey, Rick, come, so I go over there, and she literally had the sheet music. Well, not the music, but the words, the lyrics to the song. Nobody ever did that. And back then, you couldn't just go on a computer and, say I want the words to whatever, and it's printed up. She literally had to sit down and go over each word, which was a fucking process, sometimes very hard to really know what the singer's actually saying in there, For instance, Ozzy Osbourne went to court because, Paranoid. At the end of the song Paranoid, it sounds like, in fact, I sang it that way for years. At the very end it goes, I wish I could end your life, I wish I could, but it's too late. He doesn't say, I wish I could end your life. He says, I wish I could enjoy life. Oh, I'm sorry. I wish I could end my life. I wish I could, but it's too late. Something to that effect. But what he really says is, I wish I could enjoy life, but it's too late. And so you see how, even when I learned that, I still, in my head, I still sang it that way. But so anyways, it's painstaking sometimes to get the correct words. Well, she did it. And, I learned the song in about 5 seconds. And truthfully enough, when I played that, after my band played, or just, somebody say, hey, Rick, why don't you grab your acoustic, come down and play some songs? And I always tried to get something people would sing along with, and that was definitely one of them. Everybody knew every word. And it was a big hit of mine for quite a while, thanks to her. But the second time that she called me over, I'm like, this girl is like so fucking hot. It's like everything I ever wanted in a girl. She has these long legs, nice ass, slender. I always said, if you look at a mannequin in a department store, That's her. That's what she fucking looked like. And she still does, actually. Okay? I'm 66, and she's going to be 60 shortly. And she still fucking lights my fire, I'll tell you that. And she's the only girl that ever has really lit my fire like that. So, about a week later, I went down there just to see her. I know she was going with somebody, and I know that's wrong, but I didn't care. And I didn't see her. So, shortly thereafter, I gave her a ride home. You know, they say God works in funny ways, right? I'm telling you, we are soulmates, for real. This is no bullshit. We really are. And so I give this guy a ride. It's raining out, that I would never ordinarily give a ride to. He's one of these people that he's not a bad guy, but he has a couple of drinks, and he's kind of obnoxious, and he kind of foamed at the mouth a little bit, you know, but not a bad guy, you know, sober anyway. So I give him a ride home. It's about a 10-minute ride. He says, wait in the car. And so I did, and he came back, and he plucked like a fucking full sandwich baggie chock full of weed. Now, back then, where the fuck am I going to dry this? The only place I knew of was the place I played at. Because not only did we play there, but my friend lived in the apartment building that was right there. There was 2 floors. His mother lived on the first floor, and him and his wife lived on the second floor. Him and his wife, Mary Ann, which is one of the 3 sisters that I talked about. The oldest, Mary Ann. So when I go there to dry the pot, on the downstairs porch on the first floor is Tina, the youngest sister. I thought it was Donna. I mean, she was very thin back then, and her hair was cut short. And I don't know if you call it a pixie or what the fuck you'd call it, but she was wearing a bikini, and she looked fucking hot. And I thought it was Donna with a haircut, you know. And it wasn't, you know. So, from what I hear, she wasn't very impressed with me because I was drunk. But as we were walking away, my best friend, also a lead guitar player, not in the same band though, and he said to me, wow, nice smile. And I said, I'm going to marry that girl. And that's just what I did. And it was a very rocky, you know, she wasn't Donna, you know. And of course, now that I'm with Tina, Donna's sister, I see Donna a lot more. And I was hooked. Totally fucking hooked. So, you know, come to find out, Donna couldn't have children. And I'm not sure that wouldn't have bothered me, you know. But I had 3 children with Tina. And let's face it, the closest thing you can have to having children together is, you know, her sister bearing my children. So, and long story short, I mean, it was some fucking weird shit between me and her. We became really, really good friends. I flirted with her relentlessly, and she loved it. But she never did cheat on her boyfriend. But some heavy flirting. The things that we had in common, I used to say it to her all the time. You know, look at how we look together. Her and her boyfriend did not look good together. You know, and I'm not saying that to be an asshole. They just didn't, because he's a great guy. You know, it was one day me and her were walking into a store. I said, look at our reflection. And she goes, yeah, we do look good together. You know, for some reason I could see it, but she couldn't, and it was torture. And there was one time that it got a little heated back in the day. Some heavy flirting. We were alone in her house, and I went to kiss her. And when I did, it was like kissing a mannequin, you know, and it was an instant cock block. Just, you know, there was nothing. And so this went on and on and on, and you know, the end of the night, look, I could go there drunk out of my mind, and when I got there, for whatever reason, it was like I was impervious to alcohol, and so was she. I mean, I would get there and be sober. We would always be the last two standing. And I always said, that's my time to flirt with her, which I did heavily. And at the end of the night, I got the old, she stood in the doorway, her boyfriend was already in bed, and she'd look through the little space in the door before she shut it, and she'd always go, "Good night, Rick." And I used to go, oh, fuck me. You know, it was fucking torture. So one day, she always had a party on Friday nights at her house, and a gang of people would come over. And we're sitting out on her back stoop, and I just grew some balls, had the right amount of alcohol in myself, and I said, "I'm in love with you." And she's like, "No, no, 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 no." And I'm like, "Yes, I am fucking in love with you." So she knew that. She was aware of that. And now, bear in mind, at the time, I'm still married to her sister, but we had such an on and off again. It's like, at some point, it was like we almost got together just to breed. You know, we had my first child, Tanya. We broke up. I had custody of her. I let her do her thing. She suffered from bipolar, and we both decided that I was better to do this. And then we got back together, and we had my son, Johnny. And then I got a DUI, and they're like 6 years apart, and Rick is 6 years apart from Jonathan. So between Tanya and Johnny and Rick the youngest, I was going through a DUI, and it was like, it was technically third offense. Thank God my lawyer got it reduced to a second offense with some law that the judge even had to open his book, you know, the law book, and sure enough, he got it treated as a second. However, I did have to do 2 weeks in a non-lockdown facility. Now, I could leave at any time I wanted to, and this was 24 hours a day. But if I did, I would have to do 6 months in a house of correction. I didn't want to go to fucking jail for 6 months. You know, I was a good old boy, you know. When I first started drinking, the cops would pull me over. They'd say, "You've been drinking?" "No, I just drank beer." I say, "Yeah, and?" It was no big fucking deal. You know, the most that would happen is it'd say, "Well, don't let me see you driving the rest of the night." Or the worst case scenario, pull the car over and I better not see that car leave till tomorrow, or what have you, you know. But then it got worse and worse and worse. Mad, always going to Congress and the legislatures and shit and passing laws. And rightfully so. I mean, you know, the last DUI I had, I should not have been behind the wheel of a car. I was drinking White Russians, you know, and, you know, not just beer anymore. Now I'm drinking White Russians. And somebody asked me if I wanted to smoke a joint, which I did. And I don't remember anything after that. And I wound up plowing into the back of a fucking Lincoln Continental. You know, I pushed the driver's side fender like almost to the windshield, but the fucking Lincoln really didn't sustain a whole lot of damage. I mean, the bumper was pushed a little bit. And, well, they built Lincolns. They were like tanks. So I drove away from it. And this was in fucking like at dusk. People are outside fucking around and with their cars, or, you know, talking or whatever. So a lot of people saw it. My car was blowing oil after that and antifreeze. And I drove about a block to a bar that I knew. And I remember the cops encircling me and, you know, ready, you know, they're cuffing me and stuffing me. And it started coming to me, you know, what had happened, you know, because seriously, I don't remember it. After I smoked that joint, I should not have been behind the wheel of a car. That's the one DUI that I did get that I fucking deserved. And I remember sitting in a jail. I had just got a job, and I did asphalt paving. You know, that was my forte. And one of the requirements is everybody on a job has to have a license, you know, because in my case, I raked asphalt. I was a finished raker. But I also had to, you know, pull equipment. I had a 1-ton dump truck. It wasn't a dump, though. It had a stake body in the back, which is like a tool truck type thing, you know, with these wooden slats that would be in the back of the truck. And so everybody needed a license. So I'm fucked. I'm sitting in jail. I'm going, what the fuck did I do? I got custody of 3 kids at that time. So this fucking fat pig. I don't mean. I mean he's a fat pig. Not that he's a cop and he's a pig. I don't like calling police officers pigs. I'm not saying that. But he's a fat ass, and he's dressed totally head to toe in spandex. They had him on a bicycle that night doing the fucking bicycle patrol. And he comes in, and he looks in my cell, and he goes, "I just want to thank you for hitting my mother's car." And he walks away, and I said, "It just got fucking worse." Jesus Christ. So anyways, that was like almost the beginning and the end of my drinking. I used to drink every other day for years and years, and that put a kind of a curb on it. But I did get addicted to pills. I have a bad back, and I had 3 kids to feed, and it was 10 hours a day every fucking day. I don't care if it was 80, 90, it didn't matter. The mix was 350 degrees, the asphalt, and I seen a lot of big ripped fucking guys. I mean, these guys look like gym rats, and they couldn't make it. And you'll see this fucking skinny little scrawny guy, and turned out to be one of us. It's all about endurance and what you have inside, and but it's not for everybody. So I'm thinking, what the fuck am I gonna do? I'm fucked. So anyways, the lawyer found a loophole, and he got me down to a second offense, and it was a bunch of fines and bullshit, but I didn't have to go to jail. However, I did have to go to that 2-week lockdown, not lockdown facility, where they marched you up and down the fucking stairs. It was 6 stories up, and you would have to go up and down these fucking million stairs to eat 3 times a day, and then twice a day they'd either have NA, Narcotics Anonymous, or AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and on and on and on and on. It was a fucked up 2 weeks, but I did it. So, getting back to me and Donna, I caught poison ivy since I was a little boy, and it would always lay me up for a week. I mean, if I saw it on my hand, I would be horrified, because the next day it would be on my right arm, and then it would be on my face, and then it would be on my balls, and it would be everywhere. I would be covered in it. And sometimes it looked like I had sumac and ivy and oak all together, all of them, And my eyes would swell shut. My face would be all distorted. My mouth would be swollen almost shut. It would run, and it would leak, and then it would harden, and it stunk, and this was all over on my chest and everywhere. The infection would set. It was awful, and all my mother or even the hospital could do, because I went to the hospital once for a week, and I swore I'd never do it again, is bathe me in this fucking shit. I think it was, I can't remember the name, Pfizer, I forget. But I stunk, and flies love you when you're in this condition, because they're all over, just bothering you. I had, this always happened, big blisters in between my fingers. And, I mean, even my dick would be stuck to my leg. It was a horrible experience. I'll give you one example. A neighbor of mine, I hadn't been outside in about 4 days. Her name was Karen. Hopefully is Karen. I hope she's still with us. And we lived on the 3rd floor, so she came all the way up, and she was insistent she wanted to see me. So my mother said, Karen won't take no for an answer. She wanted to see me. So she came in, and I had a dish towel over my face, and she begged me to take it off, and I'm like, no, the poison ivy's got me all swollen and distorted. My eyes were swollen shut, and the blisters between the fingers and all of it, it was covered head to toe, and like I said, it would leak and run and harden. And anyways, I took the towel off my face, and she let out the most blood-curdling scream you've ever heard in your life, and ran down the stairs. I mean, pounding on every step all the way down, screaming. Okay? A doctor came and made a house call, which is fucking rare, even back then. And he said if I didn't have my eyes open by the next day, he was going to hospitalize me. So I spent that night prying my fucking eyes open. I mean, ripping eyelashes out and everything. And I got these little slits. Just little slits that were open. And I hadn't been out of bed for 5 days or so. I was weak. You know, I mean, you can't eat. You know, my mother used to sit there and feed me grapes through this little fucking hole I had here. You know, and so I made it up to the dresser, and I put my hands on the bureau, and I looked in a mirror, and what looked back was the most horrifying. I don't know how my face and everything else didn't get deformed and stay that way, but I thank God for that. Well, anyways, come to find out, the only other person in my fucking 66 years that I am now that I've ever found that got poison ivy like that was my now wife, Donna. Okay? Because we did get married. So there's other things, trust me. So at some point, I was living in Charlton, and she lived in Rhode Island for a while. She was in town visiting, and she took the trip. It was about a 20-minute ride to Charlton, to my house, you know, from Webster, where she was visiting. And she says that I said, now at this point, I was addicted to pain pills. You know, I mean, I was getting 120 30s, 30 milligram oxycodones a month. But I mean, I would need one to get up in the morning. By noontime, that's, you know, 5 hours, I'd need another one. We worked 10 hours every day. So by 3 o'clock, you know, I was doing my third one. And by the time we got out of work around 6 o'clock, I need one. Now, I had nothing to go to bed with, you know, and eventually I ended up doing more than I should. I remember in the beginning, I got so many hangovers. I said, what's the fucking worst that happens if I run out? Because, you know, I've had a million hangovers. It must be like the same thing, right? So, you know, I was getting to the job, happy pill, you know, and the fucking guys would laugh. My boss would laugh. And it helped me. The doctor said, you know, you should stop raking asphalt because of my back condition, because I have a disc in my lower back the size of a potato chip. And there's all bone spurs throughout my lower back because of it. And I said, yeah, when you stop practicing medicine, because I have 3 children to feed. And I mean, I can't go work in a factory. I think the minimum wage at that time was, I don't know, $6 an hour or whatever. It wasn't much. And I was making $15.50. Now, that doesn't sound like much today. Well, back then, it was pretty good. Today, I would be making like $25 an hour. Let's put it that way. So I told the doctors who prescribed it, I'm going to take this till the wheels come off. And that's when I can't pave anymore. You know, just keep the painkillers coming. But I did get addicted. So at some point, now remember all the flirting me and Donna did. I mean, another example of us drinking together. We never seemed to get drunk together. The animals, she lived on a farm type place. The animals used to rip apart her bags that she'd put outside. You know, raccoons and mice and things. So one day, I'm over our house, it's about 10 o'clock in the morning, and we're finding all this scrap wood. Now, we had no saw. All we had is a hammer, so we could pull nails out, straighten them out, and use rusty nails to bang these pieces of board. And now, they were all uneven because we couldn't saw them, but we made this round pen. I even found a door, a wooden door, with hinges on it, so we incorporated that into it, and it actually had a latch where we could open and close it and latch it, and, you know, stick a piece of wood through it or whatever, where a lock would go or something. So, I mean, this thing was hooked up. It literally looked like shit, but it was solid, and they never had a problem with the trash again, so it worked. And So I said, now it's about 11:30, and I said, hey, let's have a drink. And she goes, it's not even noontime. I said, it's got to be fucking noontime somewhere, right? So we did. We started drinking. This was about 11 o'clock in the morning. Now, this is on a Friday. She's having a party that night. So everybody starts coming. And it's all couples, right? And at the end of the night, everybody who was sleeping over was already in bed, or they had gone home. But it was always me and Donna left at the end of the night. Now, don't forget, we started drinking. These are mixed drinks, mind you, all right? I'm talking mixed drinks, fucking hardcore. We drank up until the time they came, so that's about 7 hours of drinking. Drank the whole time they were there, and then we were drinking when it was just us, and that was my time to flirt with her. You know, but I got the old end of the night. Good night, Rick. Used to fucking piss me off. So anyway, one day she claimed she came to my house in Charlton, and she said that I told her that I didn't want to see her anymore. Excuse me. She said because she reminded me too much of my ex-wife, her sister, Tina. I would never say that in a million years, because Tina was fully aware that I was in love with Donna even when I was with her. She used to send me to her house to calm me the fuck down when I was being a prick or whatever. So the only thing I can think of is, and what I tell her, what I told her was, because I don't remember saying it, was, I don't know if you get this, but I was in love with you, totally in love with you, and to the point where I thought I was obsessed. There's got to be something wrong with me. I mean, I didn't get every girl I ever wanted. It wasn't like that at all. I got girls because I played in bands that I probably wouldn't have got otherwise. You know, I had that perk, but I didn't get every girl I wanted, and she would have been just, well, that's another one. No, I had to have her. I don't know why. It was like I was obsessed. So by me saying that to her, I just think it was like, I don't want to fall in love again because it's too painful, you know. So, whoops, sorry about that. Anyways, I ended up moving to Maine. My doctor got bagged down here, and I lost my script, along with 300 other people. So I said, so what? I got fucking, you know, I mean, my shit's verifiable. I'll just call another doctor and forget it. It's like every doctor in my area, you know, I'm talking Webster, Dudley, Oxford, Auburn, Worcester, Southbridge, Sturbridge, Brimfield, everywhere that we called, and I talked because I knew other people that went to this doctor. It's like they knew we were coming. And finally in Sturbridge, I got a doctor that said, yeah, we have openings. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God. And took all the information. At the very end, the receptionist says, hey, by the way, you're not disabled or suffer from chronic pain, do you? And I said, yes, I am disabled, and I do suffer from chronic pain. And she says, well, we're not accepting those types of patients. Are you fucking kidding me? Right? So fuck the medical establishment. You know, I mean, I could... So anyway, my daughter was a nurse, became a nurse, and she was a nurse out in Maine. And she had been wanting me to move out there for great forevers. I didn't want to fucking live in Maine. But she worked in a doctor's office, and all I had to do was walk in, and my script was there. Couldn't get it anywhere. Nobody was... It was like we were cut off. We were all fucking just, you know... So I went there and I got the prescription, and everything was, you know, as good as could be. I hate to say this, but I say this with due respect because I've met a lot of great people in Maine, but it's the most boring fucking place I've ever seen in my fucking life. And, you know, it's one of those places where, hi, I want you to meet my wife. She used to be my mother, but now she's my wife. It's fucked up. All right. I was sitting in a doctor's office one day, and I'm looking through these babies' books that was, you know, just born, I never seen so many ugly fucking babies in all my life is out there. You go into the stores, if you want to call it that. There was a general store. It was 6 fucking miles away from our house. So it was a 12-mile round trip just to the fucking local grocery store, you know, where you can go in there and buy milk and eggs and fucking hay for your horse or whatever the fuck. And women would come in there. Women and men, they all smelled like cow shit, you know. And I was bored to tears. Well, I ended up getting kicked off my meds, and I don't want to fucking say why, but I suffered, and I didn't say this earlier, but many fucking times I withdrew from perks, and it's not very pleasant. And I was on them for years and years and years, and I was dope sick as bad as you can be. And there was times when I couldn't get perks, and I actually did heroin. I was sniffing it, and I never shot it. And I was sick, like so bad. And I remember my daughter saying, "You ever gonna get out of that bed?" I just couldn't. I mean, after about fucking 3 weeks, I started walking up and down her driveway. I was trying everything, trying to eat. Nothing fucking worked. And so we ended up having to move from this house. And at the time, my daughter's husband, Jared, he's passed on now, but he got a job working on another farm, and this house included an apartment. So here I am. It's been a week and a half, 2 weeks. I'm still fucking dope sick. I'm weak. I feel like I got the flu. I help as much as I can. We move the whole fucking shebang into this fucking trailer. It's a 3-bedroom trailer type house that's right across the street from where Jared's going to be working. So Jared's drinking one night, and every time he drank, I drank because it was the only time I felt good, at least for that night. And then I wake up the next day, you know, of course, hurting a little from the alcohol, but right back to fucking dope sick again. It just wouldn't go away. So we're drinking whiskey and we're drinking, you know, beer, and we hear bam, 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 and knock on the door, and it's the fucking old farmer from across the street. And Jared, you know, he says, "Come in." So the guy comes in, he goes, because he didn't work the day before, he says, "You're not working today either, huh?" He says, "No." He says, "I see you drinking." He says, "Yep." He says, so Jared says, "All right, I'll be over. He says, "All right, you come over then." So the guy leaves, and he goes back across the street to the farm, and Jared looks at me, and he says, "Fuck that, I quit." And I'm like, now I'm his father-in-law. I'm his friend, but I'm his father-in-law. And I got, at the time, I had 4 grandchildren there. And it's right around Christmas time. It's literally like 2 weeks away. And he said, "No, I'm quitting." I'm like, oh my God, we just moved in here. I don't give a fuck. He went over there, he told the guy that he quit. I'm like, you know, I was so fucking mad at myself because, you know, I only get a government check once a month. I only had my son Rick, my youngest, who was, I believe, in 7th grade at the time. He hated it there. I didn't see any way out how I could get back to Massachusetts. You ever hear the expression, you sit there and watch the grass grow? That's what I did. I looked out the fucking window watching the grass fucking grow. So boring, right? So fucking boring. Well, anyways, my daughter comes into my bedroom, and she sits down and she says, "Dad, we're moving back to Massachusetts." I went, fucking hey, there is a God. I didn't care. I didn't give a fuck where we went. I didn't care. As long as I got back to my home state, to my hometown, I knew I'd be all right. So that was the first link in the chain of the soulmate thing. I'm not full of shit. So we load the fucking truck up. We bought this, well, Tanya did. Got this big moving truck. I'm surprised you didn't need a class 2 to drive it, but I drove it, you know. And we loaded everything on. Christmas tree completely fucking done up and everything. And we moved into a 4-bedroom apartment in Webster, the town that I come from. And it was like, well, at least the kids will have Christmas. The Christmas tree was set up and we were settled in. Still kind of living out of boxes a little bit, but, we just got there. So New Year's Eve rolls around. Now, forever and ever and ever, Donna and I had this thing when we were drinking. Either I or she would look at the clock exactly like when it turns 11:11. She'd go, 11:11, Rick. Or I'd say, Donna, 11:11. And sometimes that would happen twice a day. It was like, no, beyond coincidence. It happened a lot. For whatever fucking reason, just as that clock would change to 11, it's not like we were sitting there waiting for it. It just happened a lot more than coincidence. So I've heard shit like, angels are trying to get a hold of you, or it's some kind of, message from God or whatever. But anyways, 11:11. Well, look, it's on my arm. 11:11. See it? With the name Donna and 7. So, it was New Year's Eve. And Donna was fighting with her boyfriend. And there's a fucking train going by. And so she said, I want to go to Tanya and Rick's house for the New Year's Eve and stop over there. And he goes, well, I'm going. And she says, if you go, I'm not going. And they went back and forth like that. Eventually, they did come. So, it was wonderful to see Donna again. This girl, the way she walks, she's got these long legs that's just fucking, and the way she smelled and the way she looked, and oh God, it was just so good to see her. So that night we went out to smoke a joint, and I said, I told her the story that I hadn't used anything in about a month and a half, and I felt terrible, and I said, I don't even want to do anything. I said, will you pick me up an ounce and keep it at your house, and I'll come over like once a day to smoke a joint. It'll give me a reason to get up and get out and take that walk. It was about a mile walk to her house, and sometimes I got to ride back, but either way. So that's exactly what she did. And I told her, you can take anything you want out of it. She said, I won't touch it. I said, I don't care. I'm telling you, if you want some, go ahead and take it. So I started going to her house every day. And that was the second link in the chain of events that happened. So this started going on for a little while. And at some point I said to her, this is totally platonic. I'm never falling in love with you again, and so forth. And all of a sudden, I got into a Suboxone clinic. I was trying everything to feel better. And from the very first time that I took a piece of Suboxone and put it under my tongue, I felt fucking great. I felt like me for the first time in 20 years. I felt like me. I felt good. I felt really, really good. And so anyways, we started doing lunch every day. It's like we had this mad time together. It was insane. Like from the time I got up until, 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night, she was with me. It's like, it was fucking great. So we called it doing lunch. We would do lunch every day. And one day we're out on her back porch, and I told her, I said, I'm fucking in love with you again. And she goes, oh, Jesus. I said, yes, I fucking am. And so she says, you'll find somebody. I said, no, I fucking won't, because the bar's too high. I'm never going to find anybody like you. You're like... And then one day I said to her, you know why I lust after you and like I'm obsessed with you? It's crazy. She says, no, why? I said, because you are the female version of me. Now, think about that for a second. I'm not saying God took my rib and made her like Eve was made from Adam, but I do believe that in heaven they know the beginning and middle and end. This is all has been done already, you know, and somehow they fucking knew the exact time for us to get together. Because truthfully, if it was 10 years earlier, Donna and I would have never made it, because she was wild and I was wild. I played the part of the rock and party and drug and guitar player, you know. And she just did whatever the fuck she wanted, you know. Not a relationship like me and her have. They had a different relationship where she just took mini vacations and all this fucking shit. And she had a lot of guys that were friends and fucking. So I believe they did some kind of DNA manipulation or some fucking thing. And it was going to happen at a certain time. We both had to learn some life lessons first. And I don't know why I could see this way before her. She always loved the attention I was giving her by flirting with her, and she found me cute and attractive and, you know, all that stuff. But she never cheated on her boyfriend, ever. And so anyways, her sister got this psychic reading, and it was in Connecticut, and it was pretty spot on, kind of creepy. So we wanted it. So me and my daughter and me and my daughter and Donna and the older sister Marianne went. Now, one of the things they make you do is they got this like pail of rocks, and you take the rocks and you throw them. Well, when she threw them, the psychic turned to me and said, would you mind stepping out of the room, because your vibe is too strong? And I'm like, well, that's fucked up. What the fuck am I doing? I'm sitting over here. I'm not saying nothing. So I walk out. So she gets her reading, and now it's my turn. So I come in. Donna's in the room. Daughter's in the room, but they're over like in the waiting area part, not too far away. So she tells me to take the stone, shake them up, and dump them on the table. Now she's looking at it and looking at it and looking at it and looking up at me once, then looking down. I'm like, what do you see? What, am I going to fucking die or something? And she said, in my 35 years of being a psychic, I never seen two people throw like fucking identical. Fucking identical, she said. So I'm like, you know, I'm there because I want her to say, you know, you two belong together. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, you know. But, oh, and by the way, on the way up there, we're doing like 80 miles an hour. Donna's driving. And I reached over to kiss her, and she kind of pushed me away. And it was like, oh, okay. Because I had this feeling. I had this feeling for a good month that as many times and as much as I loved her in the past, now this is the second time I'm in love with her, I just knew that it's not going to happen, right? She's never going to leave her old man. But something was telling me that, yes, you are going to be together. So I go to kiss her. There's nothing. Now we go to the psychic. So at one point, the psychic asked her, Donna, what do you do? And she says, well, I'm a home health care worker. And my daughter goes, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm like, oh no, she says, I see you with someone in the home healthcare fucking thing, right? And I'm like, well, I don't want to hear about my ex-wife. My ex-wife was a PCA, and that was Donna's sister. And so Tanya, my daughter, oh my God. I'm like, what? What the fuck? I had no idea that that's what Donna did for a living. I really did not know that. So she was spot on with that. So for the rest of the ride home, Donna kept saying to me, how you feeling, Rick? And she was grooving on it. The more that she did it, the more she liked it. And I said, pretty good for a guy who's been rejected. I kept saying that. And you know, 10 minutes would go by. How you feeling, Rick? Not bad for a guy who's been rejected. So we go to her house. It's the end of the night. And I'm depleted. I'm dejected. I'm fucking rejected. Fucking rejected. So, and I am miserable because I had these gut feelings that I really believed were the truth. So, at some point, it was close to the end of the night, I said, I'll tell you what, Donna, I'll never hit on you again if you'll just do one thing for me, just one thing. And she said, what's that? And I said, just kiss me for a day. So she looks down and she looked up and she had this whole different fucking demeanor. And she said, I'll do that. And I knew. I fucking knew. I went all the way back to when she lived out in the country there. And we were flirting really heavy. And I went to kiss her and nothing. Nothing. And now she just agreed to kiss me for a day. And I said, she's mine. It's really going to happen. She's fucking mine, right? So, it just got better and better and better. I mean, we went into Price Choppers one night, and she got a bottle of wine, I got a bottle of wine, and we're horsing around. Now, not just the checkout person that was with us, but there were like 3-4 other checkouts down the way. This is about 11 o'clock at night. They used to be 24 hours a day. They're all looking at us, but not because we were belligerent or loud in a bad way, like, you know, how people can get. We were in love. And people could see it. The love was just radiating off of us. We walked out of that place. I had my arm around her. She had her arm around me. I had a bottle of wine in one hand. She had a bottle of wine in her hand. And our feet weren't touching the floor. And I tell you, everybody in that place wished that they were us that night. And I'm going to leave on one final note on this. I could go on and on about how I know that we are soulmates for real. Like I said, she came, and by the way, eventually I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. And we got married, and I'll tell you that in a second. So she came over on New Year's Eve, and we did not realize this until several days later. Donna brought it to my attention, and the hairs on the back of my neck still go up. It turned that morning after midnight to 1/1 of 1/1, January 1st, 2011. Okay? 11/11. Now, this is not by God, this is by us. We actually got married on November 11th, 11/11, at exactly, nuclear time with the cell phone. We set our vows at 11/11. So on 11/11, at 11/11 in 2021, we got married. And there is one last thing. There is one more thing that's pretty, okay? You know, you're identified by who you are. Now, I say she's my soulmate for real, and I ain't fucking kidding, okay? Because I've never felt this way about anybody else. I used to say, give me 30 days with anybody, and I don't give a fuck how good looking she is. I'll be sick of her. Just the way I was. Just the way I was. You know, I don't know why that is. It's like playing with the same toy and you get sick of it. With her, to this day, and it's been 13 years, that girl just does something to me I can't explain. The way she looks, the way she smells, blah, blah, blah. Well, anyways, the last 4 digits of your social security number are who you are. For instance, she's got 4 brothers and sisters, you know, and they all have the same 5 digits to start the social security. The last 4, of course, are hers. That is your identity. The first 5 don't mean anything, but the last 4 do. Well, those last 4 numbers are my Social Security last 4 numbers. Exact. Now, of course, the first 5 are different, but the odds of that are fucking astronomically against. So when I said before that she's the female version of me, that was God's way of proving it. that we both have this. Now, if you think it's easy to get 4 numbers, go play the fucking daily number. Really. See how easy it is, how many different variations on these numbers can come on. I'm talking exact same as me. And I love this girl as much now, if not as much as I did in the very beginning, but it was one fuck of a courtship. That'll be for another time. I mean, you couldn't write this shit. The courtship that we had was like so beautiful, so fucking beautiful. And I love this girl. And the thumbnail that you notice on the front of this, her brother Kevin bought this blanket for us, and he had this made up to say what it says, established. I get a kick out of that. But Kevin's he's funny as a fuck. He's been my brother-in-law through 2 of his sisters. I was married to 2 of them. Tina, God rest her, she passed away. And don't anybody get anything fucked up. I didn't start going with Donna until after me and Tina were broken up for 10 years. But I've always loved Donna from day one. And so anyways, that's the story of us being a soulmate. We really truly are like fucking Adam and Eve. Only she didn't come from my rib. She was DNA manipulated in heaven somehow. And we were scheduled to come together on 1/1 of 2011. And 2011, by the way, all my life I heard about tornado warnings every once in a while during the summer. Never gave a fuck. It never happened. Not in my lifetime. And that year, there was more typhoons, earthquakes, fucking just everything. Monsoons, fucking everything happened. I mean, I had a counselor at the group I was in, the Suboxone thing. Her house blew off the fucking foundation like Dorothy from fucking Oz. All right? Gone. And a lot of fucking shit happened in 2011. Really. It really did. And right around here, we went up to see it. It was in Southwood, Massachusetts. There was like a 1/4 mile width of forest that hundreds, if not thousands of trees were all laid over in one direction. Now, you chop one tree down. Can you imagine? You know the sound. It makes a hell of a crackling, banging. It's loud. I'm talking thousands and thousands of trees knocked over in seconds, all going the same way. And then I don't know if that was the same tornado or it just lifted off the ground and up the road a piece about 1 mile. It took about a 1/4 mile worth of treetops off. Never seen that in my life around here, all right? And all the strange shit, the tidal waves, tornadoes, tsunamis, earthquakes, fucking name it, happened that year. So we really are soulmates. And that's the story of Rick and Donna, soulmates for fucking real on 1/1 of 1/1. This is Rick from Webster Talk Radio. Thank you. Subscribe to my channel. Will you fucking do that for me? Thank you. Out.